In the cold embrace of and fog-draped shorelines, where time stands still and silence grows heavy, lie lighthouses, ancient towers built to protect, but over time, many have become beacons of something darker. The first story is from Nate, a man of uniform and discipline, a decade-long veteran of the Coast Guard, known for his practicality and clear-headedness. Back in 2017, he was stationed at Manus Rock, a remote lighthouse off the coast of Maine, accessible only by boat or chopper. The assignment was routine maintenance, usually a solo job, but due to previous mechanical anomalies, this time he was paired with Russell, another serviceman. Their days passed in dull repetition, checking beacon gears, refueling generators, scraping off corrosion. Nights were quiet, just the howling wind and the endless crashing of waves. But on the fourth night, Nate awoke with a sense of pressure, like the air was pregnant with a coming storm, though the sky remained eerily clear. The beacon light had stopped turning. Upon inspection, they found a drenched, mossy fabric lodged into the gear, an old coat or blanket soaked in sea stench, though no wind or intruder could have placed it there. The next night, a similar incident occurred, only this time it was a red scarf, weathered and wet, crusted with tiny sea creatures, jammed in the same mechanism. It was no longer coincidental. They began securing the stairwell with crates and locking doors obsessively. By the seventh night, Russell began muttering in his sleep, speaking to shadows, and claimed to have seen a figure on the rocks during the night. On the ninth night, footsteps echoed from the stairwell above while both men stood below, frozen, knowing neither of them had moved. The beacon room door was later found wide open, its industrial bulb removed and set upright in the center of the room, something only strong force could accomplish. Russell, pale and shaken, whispered of a hand coming from the wall. The final straw was a 2:12 a.m. distress call received by their extraction crew, a call Nate never made, claiming, "Someone is here." Russell quit the Coast Guard weeks later. Nate never returned to Manus Rock. In another chilling encounter during the COVID lockdowns, a man named Sean recounted meeting a girl named Sophia through Tinder in Suffolk County, Long Island. Craving some escape from the monotony, they decided on a nighttime adventure to the off-limits Montauk Lighthouse. She seemed fearless, confident, and the kind to trespass without second thought. They reached the lighthouse and navigated the rocky cliff walk by flashlight. Suddenly, Sophia pointed behind them. A hooded man stood silently in the shadows. When asked who he was, he offered them cocaine in a flat, emotionless voice. They declined and walked away, but he followed them, always keeping the same distance. Just as they neared the parking lot, two more men appeared from the shadows, cutting off their path. The trio began closing in. Sean and Sophia rushed to the car, locking the doors just seconds before hands tried the handles. The attackers pounded the car as Sean reversed and escaped. To this day, he believes that night could have ended very differently. But the last story, perhaps the most haunting, comes from Gregory's old friend Ian, a marine salvage expert and structural inspector with decades of experience. In 2013, Ian was hired by a Washington state county to inspect an old, decommissioned lighthouse sitting on a rock island, long abandoned and forgotten. It was a solo job. Ian brought food, tools, a sleeping bag, and a two-way radio. On the first day, the lighthouse felt dead. No birds, no bugs, just a thick silence. The fog rolled in on day 2, unnaturally dense, like a wall of white. Halfway up the beacon stairwell, he found a maintenance closet that wouldn't budge on day 1, now slightly open. Inside, he saw a moss-covered wooden box sitting deep in the shadows. He closed the door and made a note of it. That night, he awoke to footsteps above, not descending, but climbing. Nothing came of it, but the next day, the box was sitting outside the closet, as if someone, or something, had moved it. Later, Ian discovered barefoot footprints in the dirt outside, leading to a cliff and stopping abruptly. No boat had arrived. The only scheduled return was still a day away. That night, violent bangs came from above, followed by slow, deliberate knocking from within the walls of the tower. Not outside, not a door, but inside the bricks. When he tried sleeping, he heard whispering, low and wet, like someone murmuring through water. The final night, the fog turned yellowish. He saw something on the beacon level, a figure with wet black skin and white unblinking eyes, pressed against the glass from inside. Ian locked himself in the generator room and didn't move until daylight. When the crew came for pickup, he didn't explain what he saw, only said the structure was unstable. He still refuses to tell anyone exactly what was in the moss-covered box or what came out of the fog. But he said one thing before he died a few years later from lung cancer: some places don't forget. Some places don't forgive. Each of these stories ties to a place built to save lives, lighthouses that guided lost sailors and warned of rocky shores. But over time, isolation and abandonment turned them into magnets for something else entirely. Loneliness, madness, or things not of this world. Perhaps these remote places, far from human eyes, are where the veil is thinnest. Where the sea whispers back. And where the light, when it fails, doesn't just leave you in darkness, but invites something into it.